One of the key words in what's dubbed the super year for elections is the party's shift, largely shifting to the right. Donald Trump's year-end victory brings more uncertainties to both the United States and the global political landscape. Meanwhile, trade tensions between the world's two largest economies could spiral out of control.
I do not expect very many good news from the American side. They will exercise the xenophobic drive. The Trump administration will intensify the trade war, but it is a very big policy mistake. Protectionism is not a good advice for sustainable economic development.
Trump has vowed an additional 10% tariffs on all Chinese imports and also threatened U.S. neighbors and European allies with tariffs.
With this rising protectionism, it will put great pressure on the WTO-based international economic order.
Currently, the U.S. has slapped a 100% tariff on all Chinese EVs. The European Union, with its new and divided parliament, has followed suit, imposing tariffs of up to 35% on Chinese green tech.
The European Union must not take a side in the tug of the war between U.S. and China, because globalization is an irreversible process, and China knows much better than the old and the new American administration how to manage, how to continue this inclusive globalization.
His government will really need to...
In the UK, the Labour Party, ending 14 years of Conservative Party rule, has echoed a sentiment of pragmatism. The new Prime Minister has prioritized economic growth by strengthening relations with Washington, Brussels, and Beijing.
The idea that we must choose between our allies, that somehow we're with either America or Europe, is plain wrong. I reject it utterly.
Many British and Europeans also believe that Europe should seek to shape its China policy independently from the US. That's according to the European Council on Foreign Relations. Both Starmer and Trump seek the end of regional wars. In the Middle East, negotiations surrounding a ceasefire in Gaza continue and could see a major breakthrough given the elimination of major Hamas and Hezbollah leaders and the fall of Assad government in Syria. But the long sought after solutions to the crisis in Ukraine is something the global community has yet to find.
Will Trump persuade Ukraine to forego his aspiration to be a NATO member, to become a neutral country forever? Or, if it's possible, to persuade Russia to withdraw its troops from those occupied territory in Ukraine, I think is a big question mark.
In a rare defeat, the Democratic Party of Botswana and Southern Africa lost power for the first time in nearly 60 years, in a year of elections in which incumbents and traditional political parties across continents face challenges. But the economy isn't the only issue driving anger at the status quo. A survey by the Pew Research Center suggests there is a broader frustration with how representative democracy is functioning. Globally, rising populism and nationalism could also widen the developmental gap between the North and South.
Developing countries that are not willing to lend a helping hand to those struggling in the developing countries. They care much more about what's happening within their borders instead of beyond their borders.
After his third consecutive victory, India's Narendra Modi, along with other BRICS nations, say they will continue voicing support for the global South, and they have committed to addressing the world's deficits in development, governance, and security through inclusive dialogue. Though experts warn of a new Cold War, there is hope that cooperation could still outpace confrontation.